We're the Entertainers. I'm Max.
And I'm A Marvelous.
And tonight we brought with us a special guest, Denise, from the Park Slope branch of Rapid Realty.
Hello.
So tonight we are discussing Knowing What You Want, which is our first video to the 10 points of renting an apartment in New York City and making sure that you can get what you want. Now, we want to know what we want, and this is what we're going to focus on in how to figure out these different aspects. What do you need? What does it need and what does it want when you're finding an apartment? Amar, do you have any starting points you want to mention about this?
Definitely. New York is vast, obviously, with a lot of people. So obviously things, differ from borough to borough. But what we're doing is focusing primarily on Brooklyn. And for those of you that don't know, there's pretty much close to 50 different neighborhoods in Brooklyn. So I think one of the most important things of knowing what you want is to actually get familiar with, even if you're not from New York, on what neighborhood that you want to live in. Obviously, you can't visit all the neighborhoods, but with enough research, questioning, and even if you visit some, you'll get a feel of what exactly it is that you feel comfortable with. So when you actually go out seeking, you have a better idea on how to begin as opposed to just throwing something against the wall that sticks.
So it's very interesting, actually, that you mentioned that Brooklyn has so many different neighborhoods and opportunities for things. Denise, being in Park Slope, I noticed that there's a lot of the atmosphere there is different than it is here where we are. By the way, we're from Sheepshead Bay. Amar works out mostly in Williamsburg, so we got a little bit of all these different neighborhoods involved in this conversation. Sheepshead Bay were more family-oriented areas, more quieter, more peaceful blocks, but at the same time, we still have a little bit going on, as opposed to Park Slope is more. Denise, when I went there, I noticed there was parks you had involved there. There were more of the younger couples out there. You want to explain to us maybe a little bit of what you felt?
Yeah, so there's definitely a new wave of people coming in and out of Park Slope. Like you said, you were right. There's a lot of couples, young people, moving in from all parts of the USA, even from Manhattan. So you definitely see a lot of that. The other key point that I wanted to make is, as Amar said, about the different areas of Brooklyn. You also want to help narrow it down by knowing the specific amenities that you want, because the area is important, but once you have the place that you want, you need to know exactly the things that you want in your apartment.
So when you say that, so now explain to me different aspects. I know we have washer machines, you have dishwashers, and all these other things that people would want. Now, a lot of these are wants. So when would you say it's necessary? When would you say it's not necessary? And don't forget, budget is a big issue over there with that. I know a lot of apartments in Brooklyn do not have dishwashers.
Definitely.
And, they cost money.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
We got to add that, guys. Don't forget, if you want a lot, we can't be cheap. We'll get it for you. You can get it. It's out there, but don't be cheap with it because, again, you pay what you get for it.
They're luxuries at the end of the day.
That is true. I don't like sitting there doing my dishes. Do you?
Not at all. And New York is pay to play, okay? So cheap has its place, but not in New York.
So right now we're talking luxury. So figure a dishwasher. Now, what would you say a dishwasher's for? Young guys like me who don't want to really do dishes?
Yeah, I would say that's definitely a necessity.
Okay.
Unless you plan on having your mommy over every weekend, which I don't think so.
Well, why not? It pays the bills.
Yeah, so like you said, there's a lot of young people in Park Slope, so typically, they would probably prefer perhaps a dishwasher or something like that, as opposed to maybe, a laundry. Like maybe they'd be okay with going, down the block and doing their laundry, but maybe a dishwasher is a make or break for them. And every person is also different. Everyone is specific in their own ways, so we're just kind of generalizing here.
So can I just mention something that I hear every day? One of them is, I live in Brooklyn. I want to move to Brooklyn to somewhere that there's parking. Newsflash. There is no parking in Brooklyn. If you drive and you're not okay looking for parking, you need a parking spot. That's just the way it is. Yes, there are some areas in Brooklyn where you'll have it a lot easier. I want to speak about that. You have Manhattan Beach. You have Brighton's terrible, but you got Basin. And all the more eastern side of South Brooklyn, you will find a little more parking spaces, but even then, there is no parking in Brooklyn. So parking is something that is really tough. But now, don't forget now, a lot of people I notice are taking the trains everywhere. We are known for our amazing transportation. You have trains going everywhere. And notice one thing though, by the way. Everywhere that we have a train stop, or there's actually a train station that could take you somewhere, there's no parking. But wherever there is no trains, we actually have parking, such as Marine Park, Mill Basin, everywhere that is eastern side of Brooklyn. You have the buses out there, which is a good transportation as well, but you just don't have the trains.
Even in Bedford-Stuyvesant, the places in Bed-Stuy where the train is like at least 10 to 15 minute walk, parking is very easy. So that is very true. So
That's
definitely
true, yeah.
consider that.
That's a great observation, actually. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
We pay attention when we look around.
And that's another thing is details, because like when you're here, this process can be very, very strenuous and stressful. So, you know, you have to do as much research as you can before you actually step out and see something, because time is important and you don't want to waste it. And that brings also another thing I noticed too, is that the market is changing so much, people aren't aware of price.
Yeah.
You know? They hear a lot of neighborhoods and they're not familiar with the price, so that's important.
Well, now that you mention that, actually, it's funny because I was actually on a point out in Bed-Stuy the other day. I was out on one in Williamsburg as well, and I noticed one thing that's very different about our neighborhoods down here in South Brooklyn is that the stores that they have out there, they're very different. They're more towards the people, which I can understand. Again, every store owner needs to make a living, and they base it on the people around them. But it's very different, you know. For the people that are living out there, you know, they're paying their rents higher, but the level of restaurants are a little bit lower. They're more fast foodish because they're paying more on the rents, and I can understand that. And, you know, South Brooklyn's more sit down and eat kind of places, and you know, high class candlelit dinners, which makes sense. But you're paying less rent down here.
That's right.
So we can spend more on our food, as you can tell,
and take more time to eat.
So again, all these different things go hand in hand, whether you're looking for the neighborhood, whether it's the type of supermarkets you want around you, whether it's the type of, whether it's electronic stores, whether you want to be able to go to a deli, you know, at 4 in the morning. I can't do that.
Right.
I mean, I got to walk, you know, a good amount of time to get to a nice deli shop at night, but, you know, I stock my fridge nicely, so I'm okay.
So you're good.
I'm more than good, as you guys can tell. But let's not talk about that. We're here to talk about apartments. Come on, stop.
So how do you find out the price points in neighborhoods? You know, a good way is, here's a good indicator, right? If you just even pull up a map of Brooklyn, you figure the more north you go and the more west you go, the more it's going to cost you. So just keep that in mind. I mean, there's expensive places everywhere, I think. But I think in terms of the higher price points, no matter what the bedroom is, it does tend to increase as you go further north, like Williamsburg and Greenpoint. And obviously downtown, Brooklyn Heights, and Cobble Hill. So keep that in mind. Even if you hear about these neighborhoods and they're wonderful, you want to, you know, be realistic in what you can afford, pretty much.
Well, might I also add, I noticed one thing is that the closer to Manhattan you are, the more transportation we have, and the easier it is to get around. I noticed that the prices go higher as well.
Yes.
You know, Dumbo, which
People want to be close to the city.
Yeah. I don't blame them. I mean, it's a nice place out there.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot going on. You spend the night out there, you might never come back.
And for those that don't know, Dumbo is down under Manhattan Bridge overpass.
I should have clarified on that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because, you know, Dumbo, you figure, who wants to live in Dumbo? I'm very intelligent, but it's actually the most expensive place in Brooklyn. So
And it's beautiful.
It
is beautiful. You know, you get to see the Brooklyn Bridge from your windows. I would not complain.
Beautiful views of the Manhattan skyline.
I should move out there.
Yeah, well.
Do you need an apartment?
Well, watch the video.
Finish. All right, I like that. But now, okay, so is there any other amenities that you feel are what do you gain out of living more in North Brooklyn than you in South Brooklyn in these areas?
Well, obviously.
We went over parking.
Right.
We went over the neighborhood as far as the stores and locations that we could get out there and the restaurants. We went over the transportation. What other gains do we have living up north that you could think of?
Well, obviously, you know South Brooklyn way more than me, but from what I've noticed, I noticed that there's like more cultural events for all types of people as you go more north.
Our 18th Ave block party. We have a block party not a block party, but they cut off a lot of blocks and have the feast.
The 18th Avenue feast.
Yeah, the 18th Avenue feast. I'm sorry.
It's a South Brooklyn thing.
It's a South Brooklyn thing. Okay.
And they actually started picking it up in Jersey as well. They started doing it out there.
Okay.
Yeah, Monmouth, New Jersey. So what they do is they block off about 5 or 6 blocks on 18th Avenue. We just have a bunch of rides that come out there, cotton candy, clowns. It's really nice. All the kids get to enjoy it. They come out there. They enjoy their time. They have food stands, everything you can imagine, just to get everybody together and unify. So it's kind of nice out there. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy that.
Okay.
Maybe the people out of Northbrook wouldn't enjoy that too much. I think they like their, even though they don't have as much space as we do down here, which is another thing I forgot to mention.
It is more spread out in South
We
Brooklyn.
forgot that.
No, that's a good point. It's very
space.
it's very spacious in South Brooklyn.
You get a lot for your money. That's important to keep in mind.
Value. But no, what I was saying was that there's a lot of those type of things in North Brooklyn and even in West Brooklyn. Like a lot of festivals during the summer, a lot of free concerts.
Okay.
Like Smorgasburg and
Exactly.
in Williamsburg, every Sunday they have, it's like a food festival and there's different kinds of food and a lot of people come in, not only from Brooklyn but even from the city. People come over and it's really amazing over there. Great stuff to eat.
So that's what I would say is in pretty much Central North and West Brooklyn. A lot. It's nothing but events.
Ultimately, it's a bit more, I feel, diverse. Like in the long run,
I would say that. I would definitely say that. Which brings us to something else, but we, I don't know if that.
Our website. Okay.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, guys.
Stay tuned. We have a lot of treats for y'all. But what else would you say? Because I noticed a lot of people come from outside of New York to move here now.
So now, when a lot of people come from outside of New York, I noticed one thing. They come in to see an apartment with me, and I'll take them out. They'll tell me, well, I heard so much about this Park Slope. I heard so much about Dumbo, Greenpoint, or one of these really nice neighborhoods. And they're okay with the price at first. But then when they see the size of the apartment that they're getting for the price, they get shell-shocked. They're out there in Mississippi paying $500 for a whole house that has a 700-acre yard. I can't blame them for being upset, with the size apartment that they're living in a closet now. They're literally living in their closet that they had in Mississippi. So what usually happens is, and I tell them, well, you know what, let me show you something out in South Brooklyn. Well, that's too far. I can't go out there. Yeah. Well, let me just show it to you. And they see the size of the apartments. They see that we still have transportation. We do have the B and the Q train, which takes you 30 minutes to Manhattan.
Or the D and the N. The
D and the N if you want to go more towards Bay Ridge and Bensonhurst. And pretty much when they see the size, they say, okay, well, this actually makes me feel more comfortable.
Exactly.
And so if size is a matter to you, it might be worth it maybe to move a little bit more down south. Not South Florida. I'm talking about Brooklyn. I want to stay in Brooklyn.
Right.
Everyone wants to be in Brooklyn.
So that's important, and that also goes again to knowing what you want, because a lot of people, especially not from New York or Brooklyn, they'll have, I want to live here, I want to live there. My friend said it's cool, but you have to know what's best for you. So if the actual apartment is what's primary, maybe over the location, then you may need to explore other options in Brooklyn, because it may give you more than what you would get elsewhere.
I mean, look, if you're a single guy, moving with 3 other roommates, and you just wanted to be able to go to a place where you could just go to a bar and hang out every night and not have to take a half-hour cab home or something like that, yeah, Williamsburg might be the place for you.
Right.
But if you're not that kind of person, and you just want a place that has space and you can enjoy yourself, maybe have a little man cave in the large living rooms that we have that you guys don't even know what a living room is, I'm sorry. It baffles me. But hey, what am I going to say? So, if that's what you're looking for, then you might have to look in other places. And again, South Brooklyn does have light to it. We have entertainment. You ever check out Bay Ridge? Bay Ridge is the Manhattan of South Brooklyn.
That's true.
Yeah.
Over there you got bars, you got hookah bars, you have regular nightlife places. You see people on the streets at night. You're coming at 2 a.m. There are actually people out there.
Great restaurants too.
True.
It's not like Sheepshead Bay where you got to go all the way to the bay to see somebody out there at 2 a.m. Even then, you see 1 or 2 people. There's people out there.
I needed a passport to get to certain places in Sheepshead. So.
Well, that depends on how you go. I mean, look, you got East 16th the entire way through, all the way to Kensington has the B and the Q train.
Okay.
Just so you know, by the way, the B train will take you from the last stop, which I believe is Brighton Beach Avenue. Mm-hmm. It'll take you about 35 to 40 minutes tops express to Manhattan. The Q train will take you longer. It stops everywhere. And then you have the N and the D train coming in from Bensonhurst and Bay Ridge. Also approximately about 30.
Coney Island, they said.
From Coney Island Avenue, correct. They go all the way there. Oh, how did I forget Coney Island? We have an amusement park.
They have
Coney Island.
2 amusement parks.
And beaches. Wonderful.
And we have a beach. Did you guys know that Brooklyn has a beach?
What's messing with that?
Right.
Brooklyn has a beach. Most people didn't know that. They live all the way up in Greenpoint. They're like, wait, Brooklyn has a beach?
A beautiful beach.
A beautiful beach, right ahead. You have Brighton Beach, you have Manhattan Beach, and both of them are actually really nicely done. You could go out there, you go for a walk. I'll clip that up.
Does it start from the
I don't think it recorded.
It did.
Oh, we're still recording.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we was just zoned off so much
Technical
about the beach
difficulties,
that we zoned out. But they even made a movie after Brighton Beach Memoirs. You know,
I didn't even know
see
that.
Yeah, Brighton Beach. You know, I'm a man of a certain age, but you know, Brighton Beach Memoirs. So you know.
But what I want to say about the Coney Island, Brighton Beach area, a lot of people, you know, not only from South Brooklyn, are starting to realize that yes, Brooklyn does have beaches, and you know, you see a lot of tourists there as well in the summertime, primarily. People come out there to see it, not only from Manhattan, but from other parts too. You'll see a lot of tourists, which is really nice to see. It's getting a lot more diverse. So, you know, people are definitely branching out and seeing different parts of Brooklyn, which is amazing.
Just a couple of quick pointers about Sheepshead Bay, because I feel like I'm the only one here that is repping it. We also
He
have
has his passport.
We also have fishing out there. You know, there's tons of boats you can go out at any time of the day. They pretty much they have set schedules. You check them out. Right by Emmons Avenue, they have some great places you can go out there just to hang out with a couple of friends. You know, have it. You know, either you want to go for a drink or you want to hang out at a place to have a dessert. They have all these different places. They're crazy good. You check out Roca Restaurant, Dessert Palace. Amazing things you can eat there.
And they're like right on the water too.
They're right by the water. You can go for a nice stroll. There's even a bridge that crosses over the bay, so you can really get a chance to, you know, get in that nice breath of fresh air. You have the beaches, and also Coney Island. Coney Island is something that's actually very, you know, it's held close to us. It's been there for so long. The cyclone's been there for I think 86 years now. This year's anniversary.
It's a national monument.
It is,
Wow.
and this is it's something that Brooklyn's known for. We got the Brooklyn Cyclone Stadium out there where we have baseball games for the minor league baseball games, and this is something for us. You know, we're not too far. Park Slope has the Brooklyn Nets. We got the Brooklyn Cyclones. You know, I know that.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
And then on top of that, also, did you guys know that you don't have to travel all the way to Yonkers to get to a casino?
Oh, there's one like
That
right
is
out of
true.
JFK now.
We have
That is
one
true.
right by the border of Queens, coming in from the Bell Parkway, and it is spectacular. It is clean. It is beautiful. I've lost so much money there.
And not only that, there's actually a 24-hour shuttle bus
Yeah.
that leaves from as far as Williamsburg.
All
to
the way
take
out
you-
there.
Yes.
And I
Wouldn't it
believe-
be more sense, if you don't mind me saying, to just jump on the FDR and go all the way to Yonkers and get over there?
No, because it's free.
We know us
love that,
free,
you know?
okay.
And it's 24/7. The train is, but you don't have to wait because it comes regularly, quicker than the train, and it's straight
And it's free, guys.
and
So.
free. It's
You can't go wrong with that.
$50.50.
I think I might drive all the way to Williamsburg just to get on that free shuttle.
You should. It's fun. You know, rainy day, just hey, ride on the shuttle. I'm not going in. I'm just riding the shuttle.
I believe the casino is the one that you're talking about. I believe it's
18
plus,
plus,
not
so
21 like in
If
Jersey.
you
or
have kids you don't want them to go, make sure they don't know about this. You can cut this out if you want, but if you're over 18 and you'd like to go, check it out.
Leave your rent money at home.
Leave your rent money at home. Landlords
Okay.
will request that from us. Just make sure you know about that. They have live concerts going on there. They have people that play. I'm not saying they're anyone special, but you know they have some nice music out there. Definitely check it out at one point. And again, if you're coming in from a different state, again, if space is important to you, definitely check out South Brooklyn. And also, let's not forget Dyker Heights.
Yeah.
There's something special about Dyker Heights. Not a lot of people know about it, but the people that know about it don't want to leave.
I
There's
think
a
they have
reason
the
for
best homes in Brooklyn. And
Oh,
Dyker
hands
Heights,
down.
by far.
Very beautiful
Hands down.
residential.
Hands down. Don't forget, you know, again, you are next to all those nice homes. You got to have a golf course. They
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
huge
Oh,
golf
yeah.
course out there. You know, and I've actually seen a lot of parties being taken place out there because of the
Really?
space. They go, yeah. I mean, Rapid Realty had one as well. They had
Very
a
true.
very nice sales presentation.
That you all attended. Huh?
We both attended that as
A lot of my friends, when I was younger, they all had their Sweet 16s there, so it's really nice and it's
My friend had his bar mitzvah out there.
yeah. So it's
How about that, huh?
Yeah,
All the
and it was
kids.
very nice.
I actually want to add something about Dyker Heights, and again, not a lot of people know this because you know a lot of people that are also coming out of state. I'm not sure if you know this. Christmas time, they have one of the most spectacular light shows all the people there decorate, for the most part, their homes with these very, very beautiful lights, blow up figures, Santa Claus, all this stuff. And actually, there's lines to go see it close to, to Christmas Eve, a couple days before. If you drive down their blocks, the houses that primarily have those lights, it is very, very crowded.
Well, might I add a little bit of a tip for you who don't want to wait online? Basin has the same exact thing without a line.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. You can go out there and they have some...
No, but it's really...
Hey. These people in Mill Basin, they know what they're doing. Don't forget, by the way, Mill Basin is also a very, very particular area. Mainly for homeowners more than renters because it is more of a single-family residence area. But they have docks for boats if you people... again, this is for the, maybe the higher, million-dollar homes where they got docks for their boats. Right now, actually, if you are looking to buy, check it out. There's a lot of really nice homes on the market out there for really well priced. Waterfront homes. They have some really artistic homes. They really know what they're doing. They do it. There's one that they call the mayor's house. It's like this red and gray and black colored home with these weird shapes to it, but it looks really nice and artsy. But they also know what they're doing when they decorate their Christmas Eve stuff. I mean, I'm Jewish and I even know that stuff. So you can definitely check that one out for free without a line.
Wow.
Even Old Mill Basin out there, they got that. And just so you know, by the way, when you go a little bit more north on the east side of Brooklyn, you start getting more towards that same North Brooklyn, I don't know if I would say structure, but more of the feeling. I don't know if you've seen that when you get to areas like Canarsie and
yeah, definitely. The Canarsie,
Flatlands
is definitely that. It's an overlap, actually. It might be a little bridge between south and north because you have the houses in Canarsie, you have the space. A car is definitely preferred, but you still have like the kind of cultural, urban type of spillover from North and Central Brooklyn. So Canarsie might be a good middle ground for some of you that want the best of both worlds.
Now let's get into another topic that I think, well, to me is important. I like to look good. I don't know about you guys, but shopping is important to me as well.
I think you threw a shot right there.
I think you did.
That's a South Brooklyn thing.
Yes, I just violated. I'm sorry. But
back
pretty much, shopping is important, and I know it's important to a lot of women out there as well. I know South Brooklyn has Kings Plaza.
Yes.
Very easy access to a lot of other really big malls out there, such as Green Acres, even though it's in Long Island. But these are really, it's really easy access. You jump on the Bell Parkway, you're there not too long. The Hempstead Mall. We got all these things. Does North Brooklyn have that?
Well, unfortunately, I have to say there's no malls in North Brooklyn. Not West Brooklyn, but I mean, there's Atlantic Terminal.
Yeah.
Atlantic Terminal, and I would say that kind of compares a little bit to the junction that we got in Midwood.
Right, exactly.
So we have Target there and all these major stores like Bob's Furniture.
Exactly.
Pretty much going on, but is it
Flatbush also? Flatbush
Avenue.
Similar to Atlantic, Atlantic Terminal, similar to that.
Okay.
So it's not really malls. The thing with like North Brooklyn and even West and Central is that you can get everything you need in localized areas, not necessarily a big place like a mall.
Also, North Brooklyn is very close to the city, so these big chains that you're talking about, it's just like a 10, 15-minute train right away. They're right there, so there's not necessarily a need for that to be so close to them.
I hear you.
But it definitely is an advantage that you do have in those areas that you're talking about.
Okay, so I hear you. So the 5-minute drive that it takes me to get there is the 5 to 10-minute train ride it takes you to get there.
Essentially,
to Manhattan and be able to do your shopping out there.
Not recommend driving, though.
Now, another thing is that we are very close to, if you were to drive out of state I know you can get to Jersey through Manhattan if you want to spend 3 hours in the tunnel. Mm-hmm. But if you ever want, again, this is if you work. If you work out in Jersey, and again, I know a lot of people have jobs in warehouses out there. It's very common. That's where a lot of warehouses are now. So I can see the need for that to people to travel from and to Jersey. Now it is kind of hard coming from Manhattan. The tunnel is atrocious. It's definitely, and I've been through it a lot of times. It is not fun to be in that tunnel for a long time. It gets you claustrophobic to a point. I've seen a car on fire in there.
Okay, don't tell me that.
I'm not trying to scare you guys, but I'm trying to say that we are also very close, to the Bell Parkway, the Verrazano Bridge. Makes it very easy for us to travel out there. Now, the places that are closest to the Verrazano, you got Bay Ridge, Fort Hamilton, Dyker Heights, and the rest of the pretty much the border. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the map. The rest of the side of the South Brooklyn kind of connects to the Bell Parkway, making it easy. Whether you have family in Long Island, where you travel to a lot, depending on where you work. And again, if you work in Manhattan, again, a lot of people work in Manhattan. I think it's probably one of the most highest populated workspaces in
Definitely.
the States. You can definitely, it's easier to go from North Brooklyn, but if you're coming in from Jersey or somewhere different, you might want to try coming in through the south side. Make it a little bit easier.
And like we said, that's why North Brooklyn is also very expensive because of the location. It's very close to
very close to Manhattan, where most people do work.
And sometimes it's make or break for some people. Some people don't mind traveling 40 minutes. Some people don't. Some people do it. And again, it depends on the specific person. But generally, people like North Brooklyn because it's closer to the city.
Now, another thing that we're saying, again, this whole topic that we're getting into is knowing what you want. Everyone has a want, everyone has a need, and we got to make sure that they can fill this need. So we're getting into the neighborhoods to kind of explain these things to them. Now, I noticed one thing which has been very, very tough for certain people. When they have a pet, they want to get into an apartment. And it is so difficult because this is a need of theirs that they have to find a pet-friendly landlord or a pet-friendly building. And it is difficult. It's not easy. I've been through them trying to find these places. And sometimes it even hasn't worked out. Sometimes they just have to say, well, my aunt's going to hold the dog for me until, either my landlord lets me or I find a place that allows it. So another thing I want to hit on that is, again, one thing that I noticed is that landlords in these areas, in certain areas, and you'll figure this out in a second. When I say it, you're going to be like, oh, that makes sense. You're going to notice that landlords in these areas usually are more pet-friendly. Landlords in areas where there are parks, marine parks. Marine Park, you see that? Those are you heard that, right? Park Slope.
Same thing.
You have Greenpoint. All these areas that have these major parks are usually more pet friendly because usually people are living there because of these reasons.
Right.
In Marine Park, you have the 2-family homes. Usually, it's also I haven't seen a building out there in who knows how long. The managements are usually just single families or double families. The managements, which is really cool. But usually speaking, they're all pet friendly because they know people want to be next to the park because they have a pet. That's probably the reason why they bought their house in that area to begin with.
Also, easy parking in those areas that he's talking about, those 2-family homes.
Yeah, well, that's true. Very easy parking. And usually out there also you will get parking either way. So kind of defeats the purpose of having easy
parking.
parking.
Not those 2-family homes again.
Well, they do because usually 90% of the time they have a shared parking place and they can just, give one to the garage and one to the other place. That's what I've noticed in my time. And these managements now, they also build garages within them. So you have them built around the block. So the middle of the block, instead of having grass in 2 people's backyards, they just make it into one large garage and let people park in there. I mean, Marine Park Home does that. We just filled up a lot of their places as well. It was really nice.
And also, here are some of the reasons why a lot of landlords don't accept pets. Like if it's the floors. A lot of landlords have bad experiences with,
especially with hardwood.
Hardwood floors, and it costs money. So a lot of landlords just eliminate the situation as a whole. So I think it's important to understand the reason. So when you go out and approach the landlord or management company, you kind of know what to ask, and this way it saves you a wasted trip. Another reason is the walls. The walls can get scratched up and they could do, a decent amount of damage. So you have to consider that. If it's a private house, depending on the owner can be older. It can have children. So some landlords, they have to keep that into consideration because if the pet harms the child, they're liable. So these are things that you have to ask. Is it who's living there? You can ask it without getting too personal. Just say, listen, I have a pet. I want to know if it's okay, if there's children there, things like that. This way you can kind of navigate and maximize your choices.
And don't forget, when you're asking about a pet, you also want to make the landlord feel as comfortable as possible. One thing I've noticed that made them feel comfortable was, showing a cute picture of that.
Definitely.
It just, when you see a little, puppy just sitting there with puppy eyes, and you don't do that. You make me want to say no. When you see a nice little cute dog, you can't say no to them sometimes. And another thing is having the papers for them. When you show that it's taken care of and that it's not just something that you found on the street and decided to take, and they feel a little more comfortable once in a while.
Right.
Cats are usually a little more easy. And another thing, again, if the landlord is, let's say the landlord is absentee, you're getting the whole house to yourself, and they still say no. One reason is because they're scared of damage. So one thing that we have discovered is that people feel more comfortable when you leave them an extra deposit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pet deposits.
A pet deposit will make them feel more comfortable sometimes, whether it's $500, and sometimes I've seen it equal out to a month's rent. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not too
definitely.
common that it equals out to a month's rent, but again, you do want to show some reciprocation, that you understand where they're coming from, and you want to make sure that they don't incur a loss for your pet.
Definitely.
Because at the end of the day, the landlords spent money and they invested money into making this apartment nice for whoever is going to rent it. So they just want to make sure that in return for doing this for you, you take care of their space as well. And when it's time to go, everyone is happy and there's no,
And they
there's
got
no
paid
issues. And
And they got paid rent.
that's a given.
So, the pet situation is definitely something that you want to have in order and be prepared before you even begin the process. I think another important thing also that I noticed is being clear on what's realistic in terms of how many people and the size of the apartment, how many bedrooms.
Definitely.
If it's
Definitely.
6 of you, I don't care if you're students, I know it's tight, but you have to kind of have a give and take in something with that. Can't do 6 people in 2 bedrooms.
And don't forget, it's not even that we don't want to do it. It's not that you wouldn't feel comfortable. It's not that the landlord doesn't want it. It's more of a safety issue at that
That's
point.
true too.
I mean, come on. I mean, if God forbid, something happens to fire, you guys start tripping over each other. You don't know where the beds are anymore because you guys put yourself in a square. 4 people in a room. It just doesn't work out that way. So we got to be, realistic on the size of the apartment towards how many people are going in there. And again, the size can differentiate, meaning, yes, you can sometimes put 4 people, 5 people in a 2-bedroom if the size permits it. I've seen some really large 2-bedrooms, and what I call them convertibles, because it can technically, South Brooklyn, thank you very much, high five right there.
These 2
You can,
No, it's not. It's just it's.
we got that space. It's all about
We
that
got the
space.
space.
It's all about that space.
It's all about that space.
Who doesn't love space?
The people do love
Passions.
space, and if and that's true. It is about the space.
So when you're coming in there, if you can fit 5 people in a 2-bedroom, if it's large and it's a convertible, and again, hopefully saying that some of them are couples where either way they're sharing a room, then it works out. But again, don't expect to put 5 people in a 2-bedroom. Don't expect to put sometimes 4 people will cut it tight, depending on the size of the apartment.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn is not known for having large apartments. Even
Yes.
South Brooklyn.
At all.
We're not known for having large apartments. What we see large is considered small everywhere else.
Yeah.
Now, ironically, though, if you go more towards the east side of Brooklyn, the apartments are very, very spacious. East New York, Brownsville, they're actually, you have enough for a king-size bed, furniture set in the room, real living room set, dining room, separate kitchen. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So you might as well just put basketball in there.
You can play basketball.
You can play football in there.
I had 2-hand touch in one of the apartments, so and that's another thing you have to, again, that goes into price, knowing your budget, because if you're in a certain range, you might want to consider these areas where space is there, and you might be able to fit an extra human being or 2 in the apartment.
Just don't stick them in the closet. It's not the South Brooklyn way. We dispose of them properly.
That's definitely the South Brooklyn way. We won't touch on that. But,
All right, next.
And that goes with that. That also, but see how that ties into price. Price is connected with space. How many bedrooms, people?
Yes. Do not expect to get a 2-bedroom apartment. Now I'm saying this in 2015.
Yes.
And this is right now, we're in October 15th, so don't quote me on this 2 years later when the prices change. But pretty much, you can expect to get a 2-bedroom enough for 4 people with a $1,500 budget.
Stop it.
$1,500 is not going to happen. $1,500 is going to get you a 1-bedroom with the side space of a studio, which most landlords will want to call a 2-bedroom just to get more money out of it.
Right.
Wake up. $1,500 is the new $1,900. $900. Pardon me. It's different now.
The whole market changed. It's terrible, but again,
Trash.
we compensated by the government compensated by making minimum wage higher. So we have to give and take.
That's true. That's true.
So you can buy that extra cheeseburger now in your Park Slope apartment.
You can buy that. No, in the South Brooklyn apartment, it's cheaper out there.
That double
And
cheeseburger.
space.
Double
Double
cheeseburger.
And don't have surprise people come into the apartment. If you told the management company or landlord that it's 4 of you moving in, or 3 of you moving in.
Keep it to 4 unless you're Siamese twins.
Yeah, I mean, we get it. It's hard times, and you want to do the whole cousins is moving in 6 people, but that can cause complications later. You don't want that.
No one could, you have a cousin coming over for a week because they come visiting from Europe. No one's going to tell you anything. I mean, I wouldn't say anything. That would be rude.
Exactly.
But, having someone come for 6 months and your lease is a year.
Yeah.
Come on,
I mean, that's just.
It's common courtesy. At the end of the
I think
day,
that's where
you, if you were the landlord, you probably wouldn't want that being done to you. So at the same time, you have to be respectful of your landlord as well, and not do the same thing to them.
And remember, things now, like I said, like Max said too, don't. This is 2015, so don't quote us 2 years later.
Yeah, please.
But the turnover can be pretty
Disclaimer.
quick. 10-to-1. The way the market is, most people are not going to be in their apartment for 10 years, 5 years. It might be 1 to 2 years, maybe 3. If you're fortunate. So look at it as if you're renting for the follow-up apartment. How you do in the first apartment that you rent is going to help you out with the second one, because it's going to show that you have good tenancy. And when you go to do this search again, it's going to be better for you because you've done it properly the first time.
I just want to mention one more thing because I don't know why, but I just remember this. When you're looking also in South Brooklyn and you want to see something, 90% of the ones that are really spacious and well priced are also somehow it's really well priced for the size. Don't lose those. Those are the ones that nobody moves out of. And the reason why they are well priced is because they're usually rent stabilized pre-war buildings with tons of space. Again, you won't have the gym in the building. You might have laundry, which a lot of them actually do have around here. You won't have a bellboy or a doorman or any of these fancy things like you would have in Manhattan. But you will have a ton of space in a great priced apartment. I mean, you go out there right now to Evans Avenue. I know there's 3 buildings out there that have 1 bedrooms for $1,500, and those things are the size of, wow,
Huge.
3 bedroom.
Fun fact: building apartments and buildings that are older, pre-war, like he was saying, they typically tend to have more space, and also they typically tend to have the utilities included. Whereas these new condo-style apartments, they tend not to have the utilities or, whatever the case may be. So if you do see an older apartment, don't be discouraged. Actually check it out and you will probably fall in love with it.
Another thing that Denise just mentioned, the utilities included, is a very, very big point that also should be brought out. A lot of the times I get calls saying, Max, I want all utilities included. And the price they give me might not be terrible. They might tell me, I'll spend, for a 2-bedroom, I'll spend $1,800, but I want all utilities included. It's not terrible to ask. But what they don't realize is if Max can go ahead and find them a 2-bedroom for $1,650, which again I'm not saying don't quote me on these prices. It's just for argument's sake.
Yes.
If I can get them an apartment for $1,650 and the utilities are not included, or some of the utilities are included at $1,700, you can't go ahead and just void that out, because at the end of the day they just come out to be the same price. It doesn't make sense. And don't forget, you're not paying when you're paying $1,800 with all utilities included. You're paying for those utilities even when you're not using them.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's another thing that people don't realize. You're paying for what you're not using. You're paying for John upstairs because he's using the hot water.
Especially if you're roommates. I mean, if you're 2 roommates living in a 2-bedroom and the utilities are like an extra $100 a month, let's just say, because you guys are barely home, divide that by 2. What's really another $50? As opposed to another $200 that the landlord would charge you, in an $1,800 month.
Gas is not a big deal. Even if you cook like my mother, you're not spending more than $30 a month on gas.
Right.
You're not. And you must have left that oven on, and by that point your apartment will be in flames.
So don't get caught up in.
Don't get caught up in utilities. It's definitely not worth it.
Yeah.
It's just price it out. See what you're. Or even tell your agent, well, you know what, Max, this is the maximum I can afford a month. Mm-hmm. And again, we know what you can afford based on your income. When you tell us, we talk to you, we'll guide you correctly. We're not there to make sure that you lose your money. We're there to make sure you find a home, and you can obviously afford it. Because again, if we don't, the landlord gets angry at us. I don't like people being angry at me.
Yeah.
We look bad.
It's not fun.
It's like.
So we want to make sure you can afford the place. You tell us where you stand. We'll let you know where you stand, where it comes out to with utilities. Well, again, you can always ask a reference. I know a lot of my tenants, actually, some really smart ones, they actually went up to a neighbor in the same building and said, well, how much are you paying in utilities over here?
Yeah.
Nice.
It gave them an accurate idea of how much they're going to be spending, and this way they were able to to compensate for what they can spend and what they can't spend.
One of my landlords, I had a tenant viewing one of his apartments. He actually broke it down for the tenant because he lives in a similar apartment downstairs, and he's like, well, it's actually not that much a month. This is what I paid, this, and that. So when the tenant heard that, he was actually, very pleased because he had this misconception that the utilities are going to be so expensive and this and that. But really, some apartments also are very energy efficient as well, which is something to keep in mind.
That is true. I mean, I could sound pretty warm in my apartment without my heat on.
Yeah. So, again, all of these things, you can do a lot of this, before you even go see your first apartment. It just takes actually having this video,
Just keep this video by you. I mean, listen to it the entire time.
Definitely.
Write notes, write comments, ask us questions. We're here 24/7. Anything you need, we'll be sure to answer as quickly as possible.
Listen to it on your way to the apartment.
Oh,
yeah.
Rewind, play it back.
Definitely. Just make sure you take like a 3-hour wait because after all 10 videos are done, they're gonna be sitting there for a while.
Yeah, well, it'll save
But it's a lot of information.
Perhaps we need to cut the information down.
Well, we'll soon be able to have a pamphlet, I believe, for them to go ahead and take with them on the apartments, the showings.
Yeah, you pretty soon coming on Amazon.
Stay tuned.
You'll
We
be
don't
able
wanna
to purchase.
We don't want to give any secrets.
Yeah, because all the secrets are in South Brooklyn, so you may have to go there and get the pamphlet.
So, guys, thank you very much. We're the Rentertainers. My name is Max.
My name is A Marvelous.
And this is our co-star, guest star, Denise.
Wow.
Thank you guys for having me
sorry.
today.
We appreciate you stopping by.
Appreciate you
Yes.
stopping by. I mean,
Thank
your
you
input
very
was
much.
very, very helpful. I'm sure
you
that a lot
guys.
of people are going to thank you for future references when they need to find an apartment Park Slope.
Well, I'm sure you will let them know.
I don't know about that.
And tell everyone, how they can contact you in terms of, renting an apartment or.
Okay, I'll let you
what
guys know
areas?
that right now, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so you guys can contact me. The easiest way is through this number, 347-552-9861. Write that down, Max. 347-552-9861. Call me, text me, whatever it is. I'll get back to you guys. Anything you need, Park Slope, that North Brooklyn area, let me know. And we'll take it from there.
Yes.
Beautiful. And you guys know how to contact us. We're the Rentertainers. You could just comment below. Let us know what it is you're looking for, what information you need into finding an apartment, and we'd be more than willing to help you guys out.
Thank you for joining us, and happy renting.
Happy renting. That is true.